Poor people are disproportionately affected by disasters. In fact, 97% of those killed or affected by disasters live in developing countries. But with some support, there are things that can and are being done to reduce their risk to disasters. It is these actions that should be at the core of national disaster risk reduction planning.
Many communities are affected again and again by the same types of disasters, and these are destroying the gains of development.
During the winter, the rains are very heavy and the river rises by 3 meters, causing serious damage to the community, to their farmland, and also to the houses that are close to the riverbank. Before we built this bridge, the people had to walk through the river, running the risk of being swept away by strong currents.
We've made this map here because before we didn't have a map to guide us. These houses here, we put these little red dots on them to signify danger. When a disaster happens, we get the people out of these houses and bring them down to the community centre.
Last year was a record year for rainfall in Central America. In 70 years, there hasn't been so much rain, so much water. There were 14 strong hurricanes that affected the whole of Central America. So this pedestrian bridge, built with the help of Christian aid, benefits the whole community. Right now, they're building up the riverbanks with sandbags to protect not only the community, but the bridge from being washed away.
Government can help increase awareness through national education campaigns, public information services, and effective early warning systems which reach communities.
Knowing what to do can be a matter of life and death or destitution when disasters strike. Communities themselves are best placed to help each other, as we have observed in the tsunami-affected countries in Asia. They often provide emergency assistance before outside help arrives. Providing training and basic equipment for search and rescue and first aid can empower communities to protect themselves and their assets. This can reduce losses from disaster, but they require outside support to assess the technology, training, and equipment they need. CASA worked with the social defense authorities to train villagers, especially in search, rescue, and evacuation, which was a good example. And also, we worked with the local governing structures, especially elected bodies, to ensure allocated funds for development planning is used for appropriate disaster risk reduction measures. But then we have a long way to go, and also to ensure that we get appropriate or adequate funding for community-based disaster risk reduction measures from the local government authorities.
In many countries, lack of rain and drought can lead to food shortages and hunger. But by diversifying livelihoods and applying simple conservation farming techniques and irrigation technology, communities can learn how to adapt to a changeable climate and make the optimal use of their natural resources and improve harvests and nutrition.
The problem has been erosion, soil erosion. Water will come and run and take away the soil. People have to conserve the soil by digging these terraces. And on top of the terraces, you also plant grass. And the grass will check the soil, at the same time will also be used as fodder for the cattle. This is a way of growing crops to make use of the little water that is available. Even people living in town can make use of this because they don't have space. And then the little water that they use to wash their dishes, instead of throwing it away, then they pour it on this bag, and the bag is able to contain so many plants which they can make use of as vegetables. We have kale on the outside, On top is spinach. You can have onions or all types of vegetables that you can think of. People have food in the home all the time after having been educated on how to make use of all these things.
Building or retrofitting infrastructure to provide safe refuge that is resilient to future disasters can save many lives and reduce injuries. Promoting safe design, use of sustainable materials, and enforcing building codes can help raise safety standards.
These community actions can be very effective in reducing risk, but they require financial, technological and social support. Replicating good practice to meet the needs of larger numbers of people presents a major challenge. Whilst communities are important agents in risk reduction, governance is crucial. To achieve the goals of the HYOGO framework, governments need to create the right policy and legislative environment and provide access to the necessary funding. They should create spaces to facilitate discussion with civil society, make concrete plans and set realistic targets to be achieved each year for the next 8 years in order to achieve the objectives set out in the HYOGO framework for action. Act now. Set targets and make concrete implementation plans for the HYOGO framework for action.